Hi, I'm Emily. Welcome to or back to my channel. So you may have seen my recent video about the most memorable books I read in 2023. So today I want to talk about the books that I haven't read but that I really want to read. Having a good stack of books next to my bed or on the shelf that I haven't read yet, that's like my to be read book list, is like the best feeling ever. Please let me know in the comments if there are any books on this list that you've read, what you think of them, and also any recommendations you have for me. I'm always looking for new books to read. In that last video I talked about Open Water by Azumah Nelson, which was one of my top reads of last year for sure. I was in the bookstore and I saw his new book had come out, Small Worlds, and I'm super excited to read this, and also I'm so happy because there's a signed copy. This book follows Stephen and his father from London to Ghana, and it's about music. So like Open Water followed a dancer and a photographer, I know that this book again touches on art set over the course of 3 summers in Stephen's life from London to Ghana and back again. From reading the back of this and also from reading Open Water, I honestly cannot wait to read this. I'm curious to see if it is second person as well. No. Yeah, it's first person, so that's interesting. I love first person, so I am very excited to read this. So last year I read a lot of Sylvia Plath. One of her works that I read last year was a small part of this book, so I really do want to finish this whole book this year. It's a collection of her short stories and like works that she's written when she was younger, and Johnny Panic and the Bible of Dreams is one of those short stories that she wrote. She has a section in here that is excerpts from her notebooks, and one of her notebooks was her Cambridge notes. So because I started at Cambridge in September, I ended up buying this book and just being very surprised to see in here that she had like her Cambridge diaries basically, which I was highlighting quite a bit of. That so far is the only part of the book that I've read, so I definitely am curious to read this because I've read every poem of hers that's published and her bell jar novel, but I haven't read all her short stories, so that's next on my list. So another book that I really want to read that can't believe I haven't read yet is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Some of my friends have told me this is like their favorite novel. I'm sure a lot of people know a lot about this already. It's a dark academia book set in a New England university. Like I've read the prologue, I've read a few chapters so far, and when the story begins we already kind of know what happens when it ends, but we just don't know how everything unfolds. And so far I'm liking how the characters are being described. I do love a very intriguing plot narrative with like a cast of complicated characters, so that is like #1 on my list at the moment. So this one I'm very excited about. It's Zadie Smith's The Fraud, and I got a signed copy. This is joined by Azumah Nelson book. I don't know how, but I just seem to find like all my favorite authors signed, and I'm very happy and excited about it. I've been reading her essays for a really long time, and I remember always enjoying her writing and like the clarity of her voice and style. And I was reading Changing My Mind on my Kindle, the essays about like art, culture, literature, film, novelists. That's really fascinating too, so I'd recommend that. But I'm still finishing Changing My Mind, and in the meantime I'm also very much looking forward to starting The Fraud, which is her first ever historical novel, and I read her article on writing a historical novel in The New Yorker, which was really interesting, talking about how she actually never wanted to write a historical novel before, but then like she felt that she had to write this story. And like talking about her process of coming to writing this really made me even more excited to read this. She's really just a masterful writer. This book is set in 1873. This is based on real historical events, a dazzling novel about truth and fiction, Jamaica and Britain, fraudulence and authenticity, and the mystery of other people. A lot of complicated societal elements in this book that will be dissected and like explored through the lens of historical novel, which I'm really curious and excited to see how Zadie Smith does this, knowing that she's amazing at writing with such clarity and precision and honed thoughts. And this one just came out last year, so it's her newest novel. Talking about Zadie Smith, a novel that I got for Christmas from my sister was Zadie Smith's On Beauty. So this has been the one that I've been reading recently, alongside about 500 other books that I read all at once. This one was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize in 2005. It did win the Women's Prize in Fiction. On the back it says, "Why do we fall in love with the people we do? Why do we visit our mistakes on our children, and what makes life truly beautiful?" And it's set between London and New England. It is about like rivaling families, so I think so far it's giving, I've read like the first few chapters, giving me a little bit of Romeo and Juliet, Montague, Capulet vibes, where there's like conflicting families. Another book that I'm really want to read, like a non-fiction book, is Memoirs of a Dutiful Daughter by Simone de Beauvoir, which I have been wanting to read for a really long time. It was first published in 1958 and it is her own autobiography. She writes about her childhood and her adolescence and growing up in like a bourgeois like family in France, in Paris, and on, you know, being young in the 1920s. Like, I'm so interested to read that. I love Simone de Beauvoir's writing. I really, like, as I always talk about in my book videos, I always mention Simone de Beauvoir's Inseparable, which is semi-autofictional. It's based on her and her own friendship that she had in real life as a child, as a girl, and as an adolescent. So I'm curious to see how her friendship comes into this piece, but also just like to read more about her life in that time. I admire her writing style and her prose style, which is just like, it really brings you into the world that she talks about, but also it's not excessively flowery. It's descriptive, but in a way that makes you just feel so present to what she is writing about. I find her super inspiring and I am very excited to read that book. At the moment I'm reading Margaret Atwood's On Writers and Writing, which I'm loving and I want to read more of. And then I want to read Jacob's Room by Virginia Woolf. What else? I want to read Atonement by Ian McEwan. I want to read more James Baldwin. I want to read Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin. Actually, like, I've read every Jane Austen novel except for Persuasion, so I need to read Persuasion. I want to read An Artist in a Floating World by Kazuo Ishiguro, who's another one of my favorites. Oh, I want to read Ali Smith, How to Be Both, and Winter. I read Eleanor Catton, Birnam Wood, Eve's Hollywood by Eve Babitz. I want to read Middlemarch by George Eliot. So many books I want to read. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I love talking about books. If you have any book recommendations, please let me know in the comments down below. If you've read any of these books, let me know what you think of them. And I will be back very soon with another video. I'm loving making all these videos. And make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you again for watching and bye.